This week I am looking at perspectives on the U.S. Constitution. To start this investigation, I started with John Adams and his defense of the Constitution. He believed that they needed to do everything that they could to set up a government that was far from being monarchy, oligarchy, or tyranny. He believed this Constitution set up a government that was near perfection, as it instituted a representative assembly to represent the people. Through this, all persons within the country would have a public voice in the government. They would be able to elect members of the assembly, and it was his hope that through dividing the power among the separate branches of government and using a system of checks and balances, that this would remove corruption from the government. Representative of North Carolina, Charles Pinckney, actually wrote a little bit about this and believed that states only needed a legislative assembly, but the government needed more than that to protect the liberties of the people and should divide the powers between the executive, legislative, and judicial. He understood that putting together a government was a very difficult science, especially putting together a republican as politicians were trying to do at that point. In this address to the president, he offers some possible modifications, and he notes that the states should be given equal representation. And this was something that he believed was abused in the British government and should be avoided in their new government, as it is a dangerous corruption. And he affirms that the current confederation was inconvenient and that the country was in need of a government that would separate powers and provide checks and offer a sufficient number of representatives for every state. I looked also into Mercy Otis Warren, and she was a noted author of the time and often wrote about matters of politics as well. And in her observations of the Constitution, she wrote that Americans wanted to repel foreign monarchs and support a new law of justice for the people. People cannot find their rights and liberties in an aristocratic authority, but also could not allow society to give way to anarchy. And she believed that all politicians agreed that all people are born free and have certain inalienable rights, and also argued that the role of government is to protect the people, stating that all power is supposed to reside with the people who have the right to check on the government, and the government should have checks within itself as well. However, she does indicate that she has some fear about the government that's being set up under the Constitution, believing that this new Constitution makes a government that's too complex and calls it a many-headed monster. She believed a couple of key things about the Constitution. One, that there are no well-defined limits to the judiciary power, seeing them as an endless amount as having an endless amount of power and being able to pass laws and deem them lawful or unlawful according to the Constitution. But she believes that this type of power can be dangerous because every interpretation could be different. The executive and legislative branches are dangerous when put together. She believed that while they were designed to perform checks on each other, their boundaries were just too ambiguous and could easily lead to corruption. And there was also yet to be a Bill of Rights to provide for the people and prevent the government from encroaching on them. The Constitution only provided for the new government, but did little to provide written liberties for the people. So overall, she stated that while it is a great government, people are simple beings, and without specific liberties for the people protected under the new Constitution, any government could still become tyranny. So just to conclude things, even through concerns with the initial setup of the government, many agreed that the Constitution provided for a type of government structure that would be important for protecting the rights of the people. And while it may have some vague wording or did not initially account for the individual liberties of the people, the type of government it laid out was important for the American people then and now in order to preserve their voice in the government and ensure the division of power so that there could not be aristocracy or tyranny. And these are my sources. Thank you.